And later on, but he did not get the copyright for it, and later on, it was stolen from him. It is said so. It was made after that, based on this particular. He had already written a script on this, the extraterrestrial, right, alien. So, anyway, so he was far ahead of his time, and he was a brilliant filmmaker. And in his films, he used to make films very realistic ones. In his films, you will never get to see the songs in the everything will dancing, never, because he made realistic movies. Okay? Uh, right? So, so Satyajit Ray. Then, so he has written this, and he was not only a great filmmaker, but he was also a great a paint artist. So he was all in all, and he used to draw the characters before casting the people, I mean, the actors in this movie. First used to draw. So whoever resembled him, he would cast him. So he would also take some normal people, common people also in his acting, in his movies. So he would direct them. So the way they would act, since his movies were very realistic and natural, so he wanted natural acting. Okay, so he would take that from the people. Anyway, so now let us come back to the story. So Bonku Babu, we know the whereabouts of Bonku Babu. So he stayed in Kakurgachi. Kakurgachi village. So during that time, it was a village. He was teaching Bengali and geography was his favorite subject. Then what happened? Now tell me one character trait of Bonku Babu which is reflected in the very first page. How was he? How was his nature? How was his character?
He, it is difficult to imagine that what he say or do it he was. Yes.
Okay, because why so? Because he never got angry. So nobody could imagine what would actually happen if he got angry. Okay, because he would never be angry. So he was very kind. So these are the words we had written down. If you go through the recording, you will get to see. Okay, so he was very kind, considerate, very patient, right? So we had written down all these words, or you can take it from Azam and even what was his name? Your friend? Adarsh. Even Daksha has written down. He had joined online that day. He was not well. He had fever. So he has also written down. So take down the words from there. Okay, because that will be very helpful for a character sketch of Bonkiwa. So everybody used to play prank with him, right? So what sort of prank was played with him? Can you give me some examples of the pranks? And you tell me what pranks did the children play with him, and what pranks did the adults play with him?
And when he came, actually I'm not sure. Because before he came, just uh, just to draw sketches of him on the board.
Cartoons, right? So they used to draw cartoons on the board. What else?
And can I see?
See, let us discuss it. The first half an hour, then we will start. Then.
And they would put glue on his chair.
Glue on his chair, correct.
And they would set a chair, chasing rocket just behind them.
Yes, on Kali Puja. Kali Puja is Diwali. Okay, so we worship Kali Puja instead of worshipping Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi. Usually Goddess Lakshmi is worshipped, but here we do not, in our culture we don't. Okay, next then what happened? After that, okay, quickly cite. That's type of fever it's here.
He's gone to his village.
That day he was not well at all. Then he had to take medicine in between.
Mohammed, I think he's in a school because he has school to 10th grade.
Who? Azam. Azam told me that his school is going on still. That he didn't go to the school.
Yesterday there was he came here, he didn't go to school.
That day also he had come. On Monday also he was here, he did not go to school, probably he did all this. Okay. Now, so these three things they did, Kali Puja, and the last one is what he did at the Kali Puja. Now, tell me what pranks how did he react to those? Did he get angry ever?
No, but he only cleared his throat and said one thing, shame on you.
Right. Right. Okay, that's an important fact. Okay, then after that, what happened? So we find him to be very kind, considerate, very patient, right? So and had a very and he would never be short tempered, never be ill tempered, never said anything against anyone. Then how would the adults behave with him?
Actually, there was one reason for him maintaining his calm and
Why did he maintain his calm?
because if he loses his temper, then he would lose his job. And ma'am, he's a very he's a very old man, so ma'am, he would not get
At
job.
50, he was 50 years old, and at this age, he knew very well that he would not get a new job. So that is why, in order to keep his job secured, out of that fear of losing his job, he would keep calm and compromise with his dignity and pride, right? So he would never retaliate, or he would never express his emotion, right? Okay, that is a very important point. Okay, then what happened after that? Now tell me, he had to go to someone's house every Sunday. There was a ritual kind of someone's house they had to go. Sripati Babu's house. So what used to happen there? How they used to bully him?
Actually, they used to go, ma'am, when they talked about ghosts, and ma'am, Bongo Babu said that he's not afraid of ghosts. So ma'am, they saw it as an advantage. And ma'am, when that time when Bongo Babu was passing under a tree, some apparent fell on him.
Right.
And ma'am, when he was near it, so he could not see him clearly. Ma'am, because
so what happened? One day what happened? They went to Sripati Babu's house, and suddenly he mentioned. Bongo Babu mentioned that he was not afraid of ghosts, and that was it. That they used to bully him so much that they wanted to scare him when they were going near the tamarind tree, right? Yeah. So there is an association of tamarind tree with ghosts. So when he was near the tamarind tree, someone fell on his back, and he was smearing ink, right, in order to scare him. So he was not at all scared. But what happened to him? He got injured. So, but still he did not say anything. Why? Why didn't he say anything to Sripati Babu? Or why did he go to Sripati Babu's house when he was bullied so much? What was the reason?
Because he was a very important man in the village.
He was a very, very important man in the village as well as school committee. You have to use the word committee. Okay, right? He was an important man in the school committee as well as in the village. Okay, then.
Yeah. And ma'am, also the meeting couldn't happen without Bongo because he had provided amusement to all.
Yes, very good. So he was a source of amusement to everyone, and that's what you probably knew very well. Right? Okay. Now let us discuss about one day they were discussing about spaceship and spacecraft, right? What all did they discuss? And their discussion showed that they did not know anything about spacecraft. Only it was Bongo Babu who actually was knowledgeable. So when you write the character sketch of Bongo Babu, first you need to write who he was a teacher in a small Kapundachi. That's good morning. I think it's already afternoon. Sorry, good afternoon. Because of the rains. No, it's there. Where are you joining from? Are you able to hear me?
Audio.
Can this be brought down?
So I think it's fixed.
Daksh, are you able to hear me?
Actually, from village and one their network is.
Network issue. Okay, we are quickly revising Bongo Babu's friend. So another 10 minutes we will do the discussion, then we will move on to the poem discussion. I remember, which you could not attend. Okay, in the second half you could not attend, so we will quickly discuss that also, and then move on to the next poem, that is a work of artifice. Okay, so we will discuss, we will read that poem, and then we will move on to a quick revision of Act 1, Scene 1, 2, and 3, because we will have a test on Sunday, most probably. And then we will also have, then we will start off with a new chapter, that is Act 2, Scene 1. Whatever we will do, we will carry it over to the next class. Okay, okay? So this is the plan, so that you don't get bored of only Shakespeare. Okay, so Adaksh, are you audible? Just tell me that, yes or no. Are you audible? Am I audible to you? Just tell me if you are able to hear me or not. But how do I understand? Okay, okay, fine. Right. So, Bongo Babu, then, there is a conversation among them, right? And through that, we get to know that they did not know anything about spacecraft or spaceships, right? And it was only Bongo Babu who knew. And Bongo Babu said something. What did he say about spacecraft? Now, who said what is very important. Go home and read what were each one of their opinions about spacecraft. That day in the last class, we had done this. We discussed about in detail about it. Who said what? That said two of them, and Azam said two of them. So it is very, very important. The names of the people there and their opinion. Okay. Now tell me, what did Bongo Babu say? Will not be able to say because he's not audible here. So you tell. So Bongo Babu said that he mentioned that what if someone comes here, an alien comes here?
No, actually, he said that suppose if somebody comes here, some alien comes here, and if you go in a small village of Calcutta, he told that leaving other places like Mexico or Russia
or any other European countries, leaving those, yes. And they again started laughing at him, and they again started bullying him, and but while coming back, One day what happened?
Yes, ma'am. He saw light going, and when he went close, he saw that it was a big shaped dome like structure, and uh, remember, like he couldn't understand. As it's like it was its door had slided from one end.
Right.
One structure came out of it,
Right.
which had no, which had no.
And then the description of the alien, right? What was his name? Am. So you need to remember the description. Okay, that's a very important question, right? After that, and then he also tells how he also discusses some points how he is superior to that of human beings or man, right on earth.
And he said that he knows all the languages that are all over the like. He asks first Bongo Babu what language you know. So when Bongo Babu tells, I know Bengali, English, and a bit of.
But he knows how many languages and
he knows all the like.
It is mentioned, I think, 14,000 languages he knows. Okay, so in that way, he was superior to him. And there were other reasons also. He was
asked that what is your age? So Bongo said 50. So Anne said, I am 803.
833. Okay, so 833 years old. So that was on another superiority, and then they were digitally also superior. So through the glass tube, he made him see whatever he desired, North Pole. What else did he see that you need to remember?
Actually, when there was one more desire.
Yes.
That when he asked, do you eat um, do you eat mutton curry or do you eat non-veg?
Non-veg, yes. So he said that yes, he does have non-veg, but and even ate human flesh.
Now he had left it a very
long time back. Right. Okay, so that also another superiority, and then digitally they were much more advanced. So that example also you need to remember what all did he see, what animals did he see, right? The snow-clad plains that he saw. So all these you need to remember. Fine, over.
Yeah.
I think network issue there.
But I think like Satyajit Ray is a very old writer. How he such a technical.
Yeah, he was very good at it actually. He was a very uh, he was a filmmaker who could actually he was beyond his age, beyond his time. So his movies, if you see, before that, Indian cinema did not make those kind of movies. So that is why his movie became international acclamation there outside, beyond India. And his movie was when his movie was screened in Cannes Festival. There was a standing ovation for 5 to 10 minutes after the movie got over. So he was like that. And he was um, extremely influenced by Western movies. You know, he had seen Bicycle Feature. It's a movie called Bicycle Feature. He was so enthralled by it that he wanted to make a movie like that. Realistic movie. So he was more into this realistic picturization of what actually happens in the normal life. So movies for it. And I was lucky enough to know that language and I watched that movie because he has not made movies in Hindi. Only one movie he did because he did not know the language much Hindi. So he was very well versed in English. If you hear his English and accent, it was excellent. His English and he was well versed in Bengali. So that is why he did not make movies in Hindi. Though there were so many offers, he was approached so many times, multiple times. But he refused because he was not very thorough with the language. So that is why, because he used to write his own script. Because he was not thorough with the language and he did not want anybody else help, he wanted to do it on his own. So that is the reason he could not. Satyanarayana Khiladi was only one movie. Anyway, so okay, so these you need to remember. Yeah. And after that, and then, Anne was also able to see and read his mind, right? He was able to also read his mind, right? And tell him that he was an extremely naive and too kind a person. He needs to retaliate. He needs to, if he accepts everything, then people would take advantage of him. Therefore, it is very important to stand up for yourself. So he listens to that, and the next day when he comes to Srimati Babu's house, he tells him that so each one of them, he addresses each one of them and tells something, right? So what does he say? In the last page it would be.
Actually, on the next day, actually it was a Sunday, and everybody were in the meeting. And they are talking about
The grove,
the spaceship which had
the light which had appeared, and only a few people had seen about it, and it occupied a very small space in the newspaper.
also there was a bamboo which in the middle of a pond, it had lost its leaf.
And overnight it lost its sleep, and which was very unusual.
And then when everyone was talking,
Everyone was
talking, suddenly a person called Bhairav Chakravarti was started by Bongo Babu Sunde. Because so far, like they were talking, nobody noticed his absence. Then when uh,
and then he enters. It would not be, it is, I mean, he just not entered, he just rushed in like a storm, right? And what did he say?
what is suddenly Bongo Babu burst into a gufa.
Burst into
Gufa.
what?
Guffa.
Gaffa. Gaffa means laughing loudly.
Now he was laughing furiously for a whole minute. And now everybody was shocked because they had not seen much Bongo Babu like this. Then he cleared the store and began to talk. Like, he told them that this is the last time that they will be seeing in this meeting. And he was telling the reason for this last time was that many a time they would bully him. Uh,
And then he pats the back of Srimati Babu, right?
yeah, yes.
And then what did he do?
Then he told that he was going to tell them a few truths.
Right.
So when he told that they all talk rubbish.
Mm. Absolutely correct. So they all talk rubbish.
And he told that only idiots only talk about things that they don't know.
And then someone took his umbrella also, and he asked him to give it back. It was too childish of them to come. Being an adult,
So it was for Chand.
Sorry.
It's for Chanti Babu.
Right. Chandi Babu. Chandi, huh? Chanti, Chandi Babu. Okay, then.
Right, he would steal, hide other people's shoes and umbrellas.
Right. He would hide other people's shoes. Okay, which was too childish of them to do. Okay, then after that,
He had also stolen Bungo Babu's umbrella and brown canvas, which he told him.
correct. Okay, so he emerges as, and then he finally leaves the place with head held high. That means with respect.
When we told that they all are jumped.
Okay, okay. So he left that place with respect. Fine. Okay. Now let us move on to today's lesson. That is, we were supposed to do this particular poem. Take out the poem. We have done, I remember, that is already done. If there is time, then we will take up a revision of that also. But let us start with today's lesson first. Okay?
Actually, ma'am, from here, like here there are some chapters which we already did in our sixth standard. Like ma'am, here we have this modern living, which had already did, and also the gift of magic.
And
Which
look at the
chapter-
Majai, yeah,
Yes,
that
yes.
is a very easy. I will open this. Will you open the form, the work of artifice? Okay. I don't have the textbook with me, so I will open this. A word of artifice. Okay. Yeah. Okay, read it. Read the poem. Now tell me now before going to the poem. Now, okay, read the poem. So the name of the poem is?
The work of artifice.
Okay, and who has written this?
KKN26.
Spelling?
MARGEPIERC.
Okay. Now can you tell me something about the poet? It's written over here before the start of every poem about the author, about the poet. It's written over there. Now tell me. Who was she?
She was an American progressive activist.
So she was an extremely she was very progressive minded. Okay.
When
She was an activist. Yes. Activist means she would protest against anything that was wrong. Okay, and would actively participate in bringing about a change in the society. So they are known as activists. Okay, so she was an activist. Okay, now what else?
Remember, she was the first member of her family to attend a college winning a scholarship.
Yes, right.
To attend the University of Michigan.
Right. Daksha is not joined. Daksha only was there. Okay. Right. So yes, continue with the poet.
Remember, she developed a love of books when it came down with the German measles and rheumatic fever in her mid childhood.
Right. Okay.
What is measles?
Measles is a disease. Measles, pox. Okay. Now let us come to the poem. Now before we start the poem, let us have a look at the title of the poem. What is the title of the poem?
The word of work of artifice.
What is the meaning of the word artifice? Please underline and write. Underline the word artifice and write down the meanings. So how can we define artifice? Artifice means clever or cunning ways to trick someone. Okay, so clever or cunning ways to trick someone. So what are the synonyms? Deceit, deception, dishonesty, We can use these words trickery. Trickery. So we can use this word trickery also. Okay, so write down these words. These are all the important words in order to define the meaning of the word artifice. Okay, so what is the meaning of artifice? Clever or cunning ways to trick somebody. So the poem, from the very title of the poem, we get to know that this is a poem about the work which is done very cleverly by someone to deceive somebody. Right? Yes? Should I switch off the fan? I don't think it is required. Okay? Right? Got understood this one. Now let us begin with the poem. Now let us see which one is a work of artifice. What is it? What is it that is a work of artifice, of great trickery, of deceit, of deception? Right? Start.
The bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain, till split by lightning, but a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high.
Okay, stop there. The bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. But a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high. Right? So, what is a bonsai tree? Have you seen a bonsai tree ever? What is a bonsai? What they do, they cut the roots and also the branches of the tree so that it cannot grow tall. Okay, so they are grown in pots. The trees which can grow so tall, 80 feet tall, you can understand how tall it can grow. But because of this process, by cutting the roots and the branches and by making it grow in the pot, those tall trees, they grow, but they grow in a dwarf, they are dwarf plants basically, dwarf trees. I'll show you one photo of bonsai. See, it is a Japanese art, okay, of growing bonsai. See, look here. A tall tree, a tall tree became short. Okay. So see, this is a banyan tree. Banyan tree of this size.
I have not heard about it in Japanese. I think it's called Jesu. I have heard it.
Okay. See, this is another tree. Tree, but of this height. Okay. So this is bonsai. So what am I doing? What am I doing to the tree? I am cutting its branches, I am cutting its roots and making it short. So I am not allowing the tree to grow to its full size. Right? Okay. Now here the poet says that the bonsai tree is growing in a pot instead of growing in the mountains. Instead of growing in the mountains, the bonsai tree is growing in a pot, right? If it had grown in a mountain, then what would have happened to that tree? It would have grown as tall as 80 feet, right? But it would have been then exposed to a lot of adversities. What do we mean by the word adversities? What is the meaning of the word adversities? The calamities, okay, the problems. Okay, so what sort of problems do you think the tree would have faced if it had grown in the mountains? It would have been struck by lightning and split into two. Okay, but when the tree is being grown in a pot in the form of a bonsai, then it is protected from the adversities, right? So we get two things over here. One is I am not allowing it to grow, preventing its growth. Now these two are very important here. Preventing its growth to its fullest. So I am curtailing its freedom, I am curtailing its capacity, I am curtailing its capabilities, right? So I am somewhere, I am not giving the freedom, right? I am not allowing it to nurture its freedom, to nurture its qualities and capabilities. Right? Yes, this is one. The other one is, though I am not giving it that freedom, but I am protecting it from the adversities.
I can have to write it down.
No, it's okay. You have the book. No? Okay, right? Now, there's the poet over here on the basis of these 2 points is actually drawing a parallel between the bonsai and the women in the society. There is a parallel which is drawn between the two, a comparison that is being drawn between the two. So can you tell me what is the comparison over here? What is the comparison that is being drawn over here?
Like a bonsai tree, it's preventing its growth to the fullest of its freedom or qualities, but ma'am, it is being protected from the adversities. So similarly, like
the women in the society also we are stunting and oppressing their growth, right? So their growth, the women of the society, their growth is also stunted and oppressed, right? Yes, their growth is also stunted. Now, here this point has not come yet. Okay, we will see it in the next, when we go about with the next stanzas. So it is written over here, but a gardener. Now, gardener over here, so there are two parallels drawn. The tree represents the women in the society, and the gardener represents the men in the society. Okay?
What is the meaning of pruned?
Men in the society. Pruning means cutting, okay, into a shape. The trees are being pruned, the leaves are being shaped, right? They are cut into different shapes, the leaves and the branches and the tree. Okay, so the gardener here, so represents whom?
And the men in the society.
And the tree is representing the women in the society, right? So what does a gardener do? But a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high. So the gardener who actually actually is symbolic, or it is representing, the gardener is representing the men in the society. The men have very carefully pruned it, cut it. Okay, and it is now only, what is its height now? Only 9 inches. So it has somewhere suppressed, it was able to, the gardener was successful in suppressing the tree from 80 feet tall to just 9 inches height. So you can understand the huge difference in their height. Similarly, the women of the society are also suppressed very carefully by the men. Okay? They do take care of the fact that the women in the society should not get the freedom to fly high, right? To soar high. Their power should also, they very carefully curtail their power. They prune their power, they reduce their power very, very carefully. Okay, take care. Understood this much? Okay. Okay, continue. So the women's growth is physically and mentally being stunted by the men of the society. Did I write the word stunted? Yes, and by of the society. Okay, now go read.
Every day, as the petals back the branches, the gardener croons. It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak.
Okay. Now see, every day as he whittles back, whittles also means cutting. Okay, whittles back the branches, the gardener prunes. Prunes means singing. Okay, prunes. It is your nature.
What is the meaning of prunes again?
Singing.
Singing.
It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. So over here, see, as the gardener cuts the branches and its roots, what does he say? It is very natural for you to be cozy, to feel comfortable in your domestic arena. So you should be at home. That is your place. You should be inside the four walls of the house. You are weak. You should be protected in the four walls of the house. You should not go out and pursue your dreams. You should not get the freedom to move out of your house. You are weak, so you should be inside. You should be domesticated. You should be inside the house. You are a domestic creature.
And that time it used to happen.
So you are small, cozy, you should feel comfortable in this domestic sphere. Okay, clear? Again, representing the women of the society, that claiming the fact that they are protecting them, they are actually curtailing their freedom. Okay, so the next point comes here that, so they claiming that they are protecting them from the adversities because they are weak, they are actually curtailing their freedom to grow and soar higher, pursuing and chasing their dreams. Okay, clear? So they are made to look small, weak. Okay, the creatures who do not have the power or the right to chase their dreams. Okay, clear? Okay, right. Now, read the next.
How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. With little creatures, one must begin very early to draw their growth.
Okay, how lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in with living creatures. one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. So you see the words, it is written in a very ironical way. Irony is the dominant figure of speech here. So here you see the poet says that, what does she say? Should I switch off the AC? Okay. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. Now you see the poet over here, the gardener, is saying as if that you are so lucky that you at least got a pot to grow in, right? You are not left in the mountains to grow where you meet all the adversities through lightning and finally meet your death. But here you are in the house. So pot over here is the house, represents the house. So the pot is small, but still you are protected from all the adversities. So you're very lucky that you got a pot to grow. You are very lucky that you have a house to be in. So the men in the society demands gratefulness from the women for giving them a place in their house to live. Right? Okay. So to have a pot to grow in with living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. So what did he say? He said that from the very beginning, you should curtail their growth so that they do not have the wings to grow higher. So from the very beginning, at the very early stage, you have to see to it that they do not grow. Okay, got it? The same is applicable for the women in the society. Right? Understood this? Okay. Now the next one.
The bound
To dwarf their growth, you understood?
Yes, sir.
To make them not to grow much. Okay.
The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair colors, the hand you touch to love to touch.
Yes, the bound feet, the chained feet, the feet that is chained, right? The crippled brain, the brain that is not functioning, right? The crippled brain. The hair in curlers. You know, in those days, it was the norm that the women should just look beautiful. Okay, so they should not do anything else, right? They should not study, they should not grow in that way. Intellectually, they should not grow, but they should look beautiful to satisfy the men of the society, right? So, but the hair, you know, when you have curly hair in those days, it was accepted that if you have curly hair, you look beautiful. You know, your beauty increases. So they were meant to have. They were meant only to beautify themselves. There's an object in the house, so the beautiful object in the house. So they would always beautify themselves to satisfy the men. So though it is very ironical that though the men want to curtail everything from the women, but they also demand comfort and beauty from the women. So the hair in colors, the hands you love to touch. So it is just objectifying the women in the society. Okay, so you can the women should be very soft. They should have soft hands. They should look beautiful, right? But they should not have any ambitions to grow. They should not have any dreams to chase. They should not have any freedom to soar higher. Okay, so they should not have any dreams to chase. No dreams, no ambitions, no freedom. The only thing, the work that they are supposed to do is satisfy the men in the society. They should only look beautiful. So they only should cater to beauty. And over here we see objectifying of women. That means it is treated just like an object, a beautiful object. The women should not have any feelings, no freedom, no ambitions, no dreams. but only look beautiful and give comfort to the men. Okay? Over? Okay, understood this? Now take out the book. You see, this poem must be there. Okay, give. Okay, it is a work of artificer. Okay. Now you see the literary devices used over here as it is given in your textbook. Just go to the literary devices that are used. So what is the first literary device used over here? Metaphor. Where is the metaphor used here?
Both side trees.
Yes, is being compared to the women in the society, right? Now, it is an implicit comparison. It is not clearly told with the help of as or like. What is a metaphor? If I ask you what is a metaphor, what would be your answer? What is a metaphor? A common quality is being compared between two different objects. Take out your notebook and write this down. Even this. No, open this. Why did you close it? And take out your notebook also. We will write this down. Okay. So let us look at what is a metaphor. First, let us look into the now figures of speech. Here. The first one is metaphor. Now, what is a metaphor? You write this down. Write down what is a metaphor. What is a metaphor? A common quality between, a common quality is compared between two different objects. Okay, a common quality is very important. If you just say comparison, that is not the correct answer. A common quality is compared between two different objects. A common quality which is present in both the different objects are being compared. Okay, without the help of, write this down, without the help of as or like. It is an implicit comparison. Done? Okay, without the use of as or like. Okay, so over here you read the first line now once again. The line the line of metaphor. What is the example of metaphor here?
From the bonsai tree.
The bonsai tree. Yes. Right. So over here, is it told? Is it written like this that the growth of bonsai tree is stunted just like the growth of women? Is it written like that? No. If it were written like that, then it would have been an example of simile. Okay. Now simile, metaphor, they both are same. There is only one difference. That is, simile uses as or like. Metaphor does not use that. Okay, so metaphor is a very implicit comparison. You need to understand the comparison. And in simile, it's very explicitly elaborated and explained with the help of as or like. That's the only difference. Okay, clear? The metaphor part is clear. The comparison, the parallel that is drawn. Even the gardener and the men in the society. Right? Okay, now let us come to the next one. What are the examples given here? The bonsai tree in the attractive pot. Okay. Now let us come to the simile. So the next one is simile. So you will write the same definition. You will only change it into you will make without. Over here, you will write with. Okay. Write down the same one. Okay, now. Right. Here, what is the example of simile?
Could have grown 80 feet tall. On grown 80 feet tall, then on the side of a mountain, till split by lightning.
Okay, right. Now, can you underline it in the textbook itself and write down the figures of speech on the book itself. Then when you are reading, okay, wherever you have put these papers, there also you can write down or you can underline in the textbook and write yes with pencil. So the metaphor, underline the metaphor, write metaphor. M should be capital. Always remember the first letters of the figures of speech should always be in capital. Okay. Now the next one, simile. Underline that and write down simile. Written? Okay, just show. Okay. Now the next one. Okay. Next now. Yes. Okay. Write down personification. What is personification?
Like a non-living thing or object is given a human quality.
Absolutely right. So, an inanimate object is given human attribute. Ma'am? Now you write down where is the personification over here.
But I don't understand.
Hmm.
Ma'am, here it's given the personification, but a gardener carefully pruned it. Ma'am, but how is it? Like, what is the object, inanimate object?
Over here, the tree. The gardener is not, the gardener is the human being, the man. But over here, the tree is being decorated to look attractive. Okay, so it is given the women, the attribute of a woman who has to look attractive, just like the tree. So over here, the tree is being personified. Okay, now the next one. What is the next one? Allusion. Okay, write down the definition of allusion. What is allusion? An implied or indirect reference. Again that. Not able to join. Okay, an indirect reference to a person or event or thing. Right? When you are referring directly, when you are referring to a person or a thing or an event. Daksha's joined? Okay, good. Okay, now we have started with the poem, A Work of Artifice. Okay. A work of artifice. Okay, so I don't know whether you here or not. Okay, now here, where is the reference, indirect reference? Can you tell me? Where is the allusion over here?
Bound feet.
Bound feet. What is it referring to as bound feet? Or who is it referring to? Who are bound feet? The women, right? So the bound feet, instead of telling the women, it's referring to bound feet, right? So it is an allusion that is used over here. Okay, fine. Allusion. Now next, what is the next one?
Wait. The next one is repetition. Repeating. But here they have given an example, the hand you love to touch. So how it is repetition?
Repetition is actually not here. Imagery is there, irony is one of the dominant ones, symbolism is there, euphemism is also there. Okay, now we'll leave the repetition one. Imagery. What do we mean by imagery? Imagery, write down the next one. Imagery.
Is it imaginary?
No. Imagery means which appeals to our senses. Okay, which appeals to our senses. Now, for personification, instead of this example, write down in the book itself, in this book, you write down this example, how lucky to have a pot to grow in. So the gardener is talking to the tree as if the tree is able to understand what he is speaking to, right? So you write down this example. This is a better example. Okay, so you write that line, you copy from your textbook. You see, you copy that line over here. Who's there? That's just there. Okay. Done? Okay. Okay. Now imagery. So now let us come to the imagery one. Imagery means which appeals to our senses. Now there are different kinds of imagery. Now when you read the words, are they appealing to the ears? What are the different sensor organs that we have? Yes, so all all the five sense organs and also the five senses, right? So if it appeals to the ears, there are some words which are sound words, onomatopoeic words. So they are appealing to your ear, right? So then there are some words which appeal to your to your eyes. When you read it, you are able to visualize it. So that is known as visual imagery. Ah, that is what I'm telling you. I can see you uncomfortable. No, I'm not. It's quite, and it's quite, what to reduce the temperature. Yes. I mean, to increase the temperature, to reduce it. That's good. I'm calling. Call that person. That's quite chilly inside. Right. So what did we get? Imagery. So you have understood. So if it appeals to the ears, if it appeals to the ears, say for example, there are some sound words, as if you are able to hear the sound, then it is known as auditory imagery. But if you are able to, when you read something, you are reading it and you are able to visualize the entire scene in front of your eyes, then it is known as uh, okay, so then it is known as visual imageries. Then there are other imageries also. For example, there are some descriptions of the taste, right? It appeals to your tongue. Okay. Then there are some descriptions which appeals to the smell, right? So these, it is known as olfactory imagery. So different imageries are there. Okay. So here you tell me what imagery has been used. So hair colors. Hair color. Now, what type of imagery can you tell me? Is it auditory imagery, visual imagery, olfactory imagery?
Can you explain olfactory?
Olfactory is smell.
Uh, Visual image.
Visual imagery. Okay, just write down visual imagery. Don't just write imagery, visual imagery. So it appeals to different senses. It is not that all the senses it has to appeal. Any one sense at a time is also fine. Right? Here, so did you understand what is the visual imagery? The descriptions is the description of the tree itself is a visual imagery. Okay, fine. The description is given in such a way, the description of the tree, as if we are able to visualize the tree in front of our eyes. We can, you know, visualize it, the tree. You know, instead of 80 feet tall, it is now 9 inches, right? And the other descriptions of the tree, the way he is pruning the tree, that this, other than the description, the way he is pruning the tree, he is singing and pruning the tree, right? So all these things we can imagine happening in front of our eyes through the descriptions given. So that is imagery. So write down the imagery. Imagery written? Okay, fine. Now tell me what is the next one?
From irony.
Irony. What is the meaning of irony? Hmm? What is the meaning of irony? So the next one is irony. Write down difference between appearance and reality. Difference between appearance and reality. Difference between appearance and reality. Okay. Difference between appearance and reality. What do we mean by this? Difference between appearance and reality. What is the meaning of this?
That means what we see.
Correct.
Is
Not the real
not
thing.
real.
Right. Yes. So what is the irony over here? What is appearing to be something but in reality is something else?
How lucky little tree to have a pot.
Yes. So where is the irony over here? Can you tell me?
I'm the irony is that we feel that it's protected, then it has a pot
Yes.
to go, it has its own independence. But ma'am, that's not the case.
Absolutely
Ma'am, a
not.
tree which can go 80 feet
Tall. So that is actually, that tree is actually lucky. The tree which has been pruned and the growth is stunted, it is not able to grow to its fullest, right? So even if it is exposed to the adversities, but whatever life it would lead with freedom. Only one day of freedom is better than 100 days of imprisonment, right? Yes. So here the tree is not at all lucky, but the gardener is telling that the tree is lucky because it has got a pot to grow and it is being protected, right? But in reality, it is absolutely not lucky. It is actually an unlucky tree whose growth has been stunted and preventing it to grow to its fullest, preventing it to chase its dreams, preventing it to get its freedom. Right? Okay. So there is the irony. So here in this, we can also call it a personification as well as an irony. Why is it a personification also?
Because a tree is given a human quality.
What human quality has it been given?
Ma'am,
Don't just write like that. You need to be very, very clear. Explain it nicely.
Human quality means like it says it's lucky. then ma'am, it has a pot to grow in, like, I mean,
So here the tree is said to be lucky, which means that usually the human beings can be lucky, right? So over here, a human quality has been given, right? Right, and irony also, fine. Any other figure of speech symbolism is there? Euphemism is there. Euphemism is there. Read the meaning is also given there. What is euphemism?
Euphemism is a word of phrase that softens an uncomfortable topic.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Euphemism softens the harsh statements. So it is a mild, softens the harsh statement. So it is a mild or indirect, right? This also, this is important. So it is a mild or indirect word or expression when referring to something that is harsh or unpleasant. Okay, so something that is harsh or unpleasant. So it is a mild or indirect way of expressing something that is harsh or unpleasant. So instead of saying that he died, okay, instead of saying that he died, I can say that he has met his or he has gone to the heavens. Okay, so just making the expression a little softer and milder instead of a harsh statement. Okay. Akshay is trying his best to join. He's not. Okay. Okay, got it? Now tell me, where is the euphemism used over here? Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, Daksh, I think now it is fine. Okay, so we are doing a work of artifice. So we had started it, we have almost completed. So now you are fine. Now your internet is working. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, but we have almost completed the poem, but we will quickly do a revision. Okay. Right. So where is the euphemism used over here? Quickly, where is the euphemism used? Let's stay for some time. We will revise the poem once again. Okay. After that, we will also revise I remember poem so that it becomes easier for you to study. Okay.
That line, how lucky little is, what to grow in, because ma'am, that in that also they have
Indirectly, instead, I mean, it's the growth is stunted. So indirectly, the poet has written about the atrocities of women. Not only this line, I think throughout the poem, euphemism has been used.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Now let us quickly go through the poem once again for Dutch. Okay, we will quickly go through it so that when you hear, listen to the recording, it becomes easier for you. Okay, so yeah. So take out your poem. Okay. Where is the poem gone? Just a minute. I'm not able to find the poem. Did I take out? I'm not getting it. Give me a book. Okay. So the poem says, a bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. Now, before we move on to the poem, Daksh, I hope you are able to hear me. In case you feel that there is an internet issue, you can switch off the video. Okay, in case it is required, you can switch off the video to make if you have any internet issue. Okay. Now, the meaning of artifice, I gave the meaning of artifice. Ayush has written it down. Artifice means, what is the meaning of artifice, Ayush?
Clever or cunning way to
Trick somebody. So a clever or cunning way to trick somebody. Okay, trickery. So that is the meaning of artifice. So in this poem, we would see that how the men in the society deceived and tricked the women in the society so that their freedom is curtailed and their growth is stunted so that they cannot pursue their dreams and ambitions.
It's compared to a bonsai tree.
And it is, and over here we see a comparison, a metaphor, which is the dominant metaphor and irony. These are the two most important figures of speech that are being used over here. Now, if you can have your snacks or something if they have got. Okay. So here we see that the growth, over here we see a comparison between the bonsai tree. What is the bonsai tree? If you check on internet, you will get to see the trees. The tall trees are made short by cutting their roots and branches. The tree will look exactly the same, but instead of an 80 feet tall tree, it will be only of 9-inch height, tall tree. Okay, so that is the meaning of bonsai. So I read quickly. So the poem says about the bonsai tree in the attractive pot. So the bonsai tree is placed in an attractive pot. Could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. So he says that the poet, she over here, the poet is a female poet. The poetess. So the bonsai tree, if this tree was not a bonsai, if this tree would have grown in the mountainside, then it could have grown till 80 feet. But it would again have been exposed to what? Different adversities, different problems. What is one adversity being spoken about here? Lightning. Now, if there is lightning over there, then the tree would split up. Right? Usually in the lightning, the trees get burned or they are split. So they are, though they would get the freedom to soar high, soar to their full potential, but still they would also have been exposed to different adversities. Okay, fine. Over here, the main point is that there is a comparison that is drawn between the bonsai tree and that of the women in the society. The women in the society are always tortured, they are suppressed by the men in the society. So here the metaphor says that just like the bonsai tree, the women in the society's growth also are being stunted, reduced, suppressed by the men in the society. Here the parallel is drawn between the bonsai tree. The bonsai tree represents the women in the society, and the gardener over here represents the men in the society. Okay, fine. Understood that? Just give me a thumbs up if you have understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now you are able to. Okay, got it? So over here, so every day as he whittles back the branches, the gardener prunes. It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. Okay, so every day whittles back. Whittles back means, whittles also means pruning. What is the meaning of the word pruning? Pruning means cutting. Cutting the roots, pruning actually cutting the leaves, giving it a shape. Okay, you must have seen the gardeners, they prune the leaves and give it a shape, right? So that is pruning. Now here the gardener is pruning
Ma'am,
and
what is the meaning of prund?
which one?
Prund, Pruned.
Pruned, that is pruned. Pruned means cutting the leaves, of the trees, cutting and giving it a shape. Okay, that is the meaning of pruning. Pruning. The
Split by lightning means?
split by lightning means it dies because of lightning. It falls apart. Lightning, thunder and lightning. When there is lightning in the mountains, what happens? The trees, they catch fire and they split. They fall apart. Okay, got it? Okay. Now whittles back. Whittles also means cutting. Okay. The cutting the roots, cutting the trees, the leaves, the branches, cutting it short. Okay. So every day as he whittles back the branches, the gardener prunes. Pruning means singing, humming. Okay, humming or singing. Clear? Okay. Now, as the gardener is doing his work, he is also singing along. It's your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. Now, over here, the women of the society is being represented. Now, the gardener, the men, who is also representing the men of the society, they say that to the women that you are weak. You should feel comfortable. Your place is your house, inside the house. So you should be comfortable inside your house. That is your only place of comfort. You should not go out because you are weak. You are meant to be domestic. So you should be inside the house. So doing all the household chores, and you should be comfortable being in the house. Clear? So because you are weak, so you need to be protected in the house. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. Now here, how lucky. Now the gardener over here is as if he is conversing with the tree, saying that you are so lucky that you have got a pot to grow. Now as if the tree is listening to him. So here we can
Having
say,
a platform to grow.
yes. So here we can say personification used, because here the gardener assumes as if the tree is able to hear him what he's saying and able to understand what he's saying. So the gardener says that you are so lucky that you got a pot to grow. You got something to grow in. You are not exposed to the adversities, right? And now this is also an example of irony. See, I have written all the figures of speech used here. So the first is metaphor. Then we have irony here. Irony is difference between appearance and reality. Now, what does it mean? The gardener is telling the tree that you are very lucky. But actually, do you think the tree is lucky? The tree is not at all lucky because it is.
So, because it is getting pruned by the gardener every day.
Yes. You're coming from school? Oh. Sit. Work of artifice. Okay. You have done already, right? Okay, so where is it? Yeah. So the difference between appearance and reality. Okay. So here we see that the gardener is telling him that telling the tree that it is very lucky, but actually it is not lucky because it is not able to grow to its full potential. Similarly, the women in the society are also unlucky. Why? Because the women in the society, they are not getting the freedom to grow, the freedom to prosper, the freedom to chase their dreams, the freedom to fulfill their ambitions. They are tied up.
I'm just the fan.
Yeah, go and ask.
No, just the fan.
Okay, got it? Now, so here there is a use of irony. Fine. Ayush, Azam, you take out your this thing. Okay, go through the work of artifice. I'm giving it 1 second. Which volume is it? Work of artifice. Okay. So with living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. So the poet over here says that at the very beginning, you should control them, control their growth.
Restrain them.
Yes, restrain them, control them so that they are not able to grow to their full potential. Okay?
Yeah,
30 minutes. And the bound feet, the crippled brain, the bound feet refers to it is an allusion. The figure of speech used here is allusion, an indirect reference to a person or something, an event. So bound feet refers to being chained. You know, in those days the slaves were chained. So you're bound feet. So you become bound feet.
Being controlled.
Being controlled, yes. You become bound feet. Crippled brain. You are not able to develop intellectually. So according to the poet, the status of women in the society was just to look beautiful and keep the men of the society to keep the men, to look attractive to the men in the society, right? To objectification of
And
women.
to be small and cozy.
And yes, to look small and cozy, right? So that was the only objective of women in the society, to please the men, to look beautiful to the men, right? But not to grow intellectually. They were not allowed to go out to study, to live their dreams, to live their ambitions, to go out and work outside. So their work was only restrained inside the house, right? Okay. Crippled brain. Cripple means again not to grow intellectually. The crippled brain. Their hair in curlers. Now here is a visual imagery over here. Hair in curlers. Hair in curlers means curly hair. You know, in those days there was a conception that if you have curly hair, you look more beautiful. Okay, so the women in the society, they have to look beautiful. So with curly hair, the hands you love to touch. So the hands, love to touch means very soft hands. That means basically objectifying the women. The women should look physically beautiful.
The woman should be like a teddy.
Yes, the women are just like an object, a beautiful, attractive object in the house who do not have emotions or aspirations. Okay? Yes.
Ma'am, then how do we know that this is being compared to the woman in our society means the bonsai tree?
How do we know? Then the poet has written with that intention. The poet has told that it is a comparison between the women in the society and the bonsai, and the gardener represents the men in the society.
It was written on, but how they feel.
And it was written during that time. Now the poet herself has already written. Therefore, when we study it, when we read it.
Ma'am, cozy. Can you tell the meaning of cozy?
Yes.
Meaning of cozy.
Cozy means comfortable.
Okay.
Used to adapt what they again.
Okay, got it? Understood the poem? Now you
Yes.
will go through the text, the book, volume 2. Okay, volume 2, go through it. Read the explanation that is written over here. Go through the figures of speech also. The repetition is not there. I don't know why repetition is mentioned, but repetition, there is one figure of speech for repetition. It is not there. Repetition is not there. The rest are all there. Okay, so go through
No,
it.
ma'am, repetition is.
Sorry?
Ma'am, repetition and one more figure of speech is not mentioned in the English volume 2.
Acha, okay. Okay, so go through the text, I mean the volume 2 book, and we need to change the Zoom link. Okay, so Sushil sir has come to change it, right? So we have to stop here and go through the volume 2 textbook if you have that with you. Go through the summary, go through the figures of speech. If you have any doubts, uh,
Do we have a break of 15 minutes now or directly have to join after this?
no, 15 minutes, I think. What is the time now?
It's
So it will start at 2:45.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so join back.
Okay.
We will also revise. I remember for 5-10 minutes. I'll brief you out, and then we will start off with Julius Caesar. Okay.
Ma'am, but Julius Caesar we have already completed, no?
I know, but today it was supposed to, according to the schedule, Act 2, Scene 1. But I will not do much because I know you have exam till Act 1. So we will carry it over to the next class. But before that, your test series is also coming up. So before that, we will revise Act 2, Scene 1. I'm sorry, Act 1, Scene 1, 2,
And
and 3.
literature test is coming up.
Maybe, yes. Okay.
Okay.
next Sunday.
That I
Next
know.
Sunday.
Also, should I leave it now?
I think next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Okay, chalo, leave.
Break.
We'll go through it. If you want, I will explain you again. And write down the figures of speech. Write down the definitions of every figure of speech.
Okay.
You want to eat something? Only chocolate you have brought? Eat. Yeah, eat it.